Hello and welcome to another very exciting issue of Bayonne Today. We are extremely excited to present to you a newcomer to Bayonne, someone that you may have seen out and about in town at any one of the meetings we have here in town or in a local shop that's downtown. I'm here to introduce Pastor Gary Grindiland to you, who is the pastor of the Grace Lutheran Church located over at 836 Avenue C.
Thank you. It's great to be here, Diane.
You're welcome. I'm so happy that you could come in and you can basically give us some of your history in regards to your church, in regards to how you wound up in Bayonne.
Well, sure. I'd love to do that. I grew up in Ames, Iowa. Been in the Midwest most of my ministry, although I did take a couple of years and spend in New York City at Seafarers International House, where I was the executive director, and then went back to Milwaukee and served a congregation there, was vice president of Lutheran Social Services of Wisconsin Upper Michigan, and then had the opportunity to come back in May, back here to Bayonne, which I know something about because I spent quite a bit of time when I was in New York City.
Okay,
Here.
so as far as your involvement when you were in New York City, were you involved in the church at that time here in Bayonne, or
One of my employees, a chaplain, was the pastor at Grace Lutheran Church.
Okay.
And so I would come over to make supervisory visits and to be with the congregation and then to eat in Bayonne.
Oh, okay. Well, that's one of the best things that most people talk about is coming here just to try out some of our interesting restaurants. And did you have a feeling when you were here that you may wind up at any time coming back, or how did you actually wind up getting the position to come to Bayonne?
Well, I had such a great relationship when I was here before, being here and visiting and being a part of the community. And I'd always hoped that I would maybe at some point have the opportunity or the privilege to come back. But it wasn't until May when the former pastor went into another call situation and it became available and I jumped.
And here you are.
Yeah, although my ride home at nights is a little bit different than a lot of people's. I commute back and forth to Milwaukee, where my wife and family are.
Okay, and so your wife has remained back in Milwaukee. You said that she works for a company back there. She's, I think, the VP?
She's the vice president of specialized medical services there.
Okay.
And so I go back. I've been back a couple of times. She's been out once.
Mm-hmm.
And it works. I mean, we did the same thing when I was in New York City. I commuted back and forth from Seafarers as well.
Now, and you have how many children? 2
children.
Okay.
I have a son and a daughter, and both are graduating. We've told that to them. They are graduating in May.
Okay.
Daughter is looking at medical schools, and son who will be graduating with double major in environmental science and electrical engineering.
Wow, that's heavy duty. And now have they visited as well?
Daughter has. She's been out here a couple of times. She was out here actually when I vacationed before, when I came out to Bayonne, in between my stay at Seafarers and then back to Milwaukee. She came out when I took a vacation out here.
And her name is?
Sarah.
Sarah, and your son?
Joshua.
Joshua.
All biblical.
Absolutely. And your wife?
Sherry.
Sherry. Well,
it rhymes with Gary.
Okay, there you go. Well, that works. I guess that works for you. There are so many things that when you did come into Bayonne and over at the church, I have some of what you are hoping to accomplish, and I actually counted out 17 bullet points from the different ideas that you have for the community, different things that the changes you're trying to bring about, many of which have become obvious on that corner. I like to call it the Butterscoth Church, because you changed the color of the church. You've maintained the grounds outside, which have become very, very welcoming, and it's really a striking difference to the way it looked before. Tell me a little bit about some of the ideas you have, some of which you've already accomplished, but some of obviously the reach out into the community. What exactly is Grace Lutheran Church all about?
Well, first of all, I appreciate you saying those things about the church, but I really can't take credit for a lot of the the first part, the external part of that, it's really been quite a transformation. The congregation just really reached down and decided that if they were going to remain here, they were going to be a presence, and that meant taking a look at the exterior of the church. So you see new siding, new windows.
Yes.
You go downstairs and you see ceramic tile throughout the basement. We have a gorgeous fellowship hall.
Well, the tour that you gave me actually opened my eyes up to the possibilities of what you can do with the church, because so much of it I never even knew existed. Can you expand a little bit about the hall down in the basement that was redone? And
well, we just, we're over 100 years old. We're an older church physically, and so we had to make some changes, but it really wasn't until the congregation decided we need to make these improvements to continue to provide ministry in the community. So they took it upon themselves to put the ceramic tile in, to redo the bathrooms. I mean,
the bathroom's gorgeous. It looks like something that you'd see in a club in Manhattan. It truly does.
Well, they just have done a great job. I mean, it's a great congregation, caring people, but part of that is the exterior, what you see, and they've done a great job with that. So I came into something that was really mostly finished, and was a matter for me to make a few finishing touches on what we already had.
Okay, so this was almost in preparation for someone coming in who was new, a bit innovative, came in with some new ideas. The reason why we brought the thinker in today is because one of the things that impressed me the most about one of your mission statements here was that you realized that it's time to rethink the church.
The church always changes, just like we change. And mine has always been, you change and grow together, you change and you grow apart. And in order for us to continue to do ministry, we need to be creative and innovative, like God is. I mean, God meets us exactly where we're at, and that's the way that the church is. And so we're just about the task of trying to figure out what it is that God is doing with us and for us, and then we in turn for the larger community. We don't exist for ourselves. There's no room for navel gazing. We exist to be a part of the community. We're a community church, so that's what we're about.
Well, that's become obvious not only by the appearance of the church and by the different programs that you have instituted over there, one of which is the Youth Empowerment Leaders Program for young people over at the church.
We have a member of the congregation, Diane Ritchie, who has had over the last several years a program for young girls 8 to 13, and has expanded that now to young men and young women ages 14 to 17, youth leadership, youth empowerment program that we're really proud of, but also equipping our young people with those things to look beyond where they are now at their future, what the future may hold for them, and that they have something to say about that. And what's happened in my experience with that it's just wonderful seeing the transformation of the young people who grow from the experience of being a part of Diane's program, and of the people, the great people that she brings forward to show our young people that they can be more than what they are.
To look beyond where they are at that particular time in their lives.
Big world. I mean, lots of things going on, and even though we sit, right in the, on the doorstep of New York City, sometimes you're not able to see, beyond the end of your nose, and you need that encouragement and that incentive. Well,
you certainly have also provided that in the space that you have over there for the children. I mean, it almost looks like something out of an MTV television show. I mean, the way it's furnished, the way you have it all laid out, you would never expect that would exist, even in a church setting, that would have teenagers come in and actually feel very comfortable coming in, sharing their ideas, and listening to the different programs that Diane has instituted as well.
I think it's not about us, but it's about what we can be for the community. And I think we're putting ourselves in a position where we can do the most good, whether it's in our relationship with Trinity Episcopal Church and Windmill Alliance, all the different kinds of programming we do together, or it's whether it's congregational programming or it's outreach to the community. I just think that we've positioned ourselves in a way so that we can do more, to do good, that's really what the church is about.
Well, I think one of the other interesting things that you told me about yourself is that you aren't only focusing in on the Lutheran Church here in town. You visit the local Catholic churches and other churches to actually be a part of their services.
I attend as much as I can. I'm not a 100% attender, but I'm pretty good. On Saturday night, I mean, I'm as good as a Lutheran can be, a sinner though I am. I attend Mass every Saturday night, and so I go attend a different parish, and because I need to be fed too. It's not just about me feeding. In order for me to feed, I have to be fed, and I get so much out of those Masses, and especially when you look at just the sheer beauty of some of our parishes.
The churches are absolutely
yeah,
beautiful.
they're gorgeous. I mean, I'm in awe when I come into the different parishes. It's
Well,
wonderful.
I think what you're saying probably would cause people who are watching the show to think about it, because I remember back in the day, you would have never known, thinking as a Catholic, you would never cross the line. I mean, you would never even think of going into another church. So it kind of brings about the rethinking the church. It brings it, I think, more into the forefront to have other people say, you know what, I should look into what other people are doing, especially people in the community who have taken everything that you stand for and said, you know what, we're here for the community, we're an outreach, we want to help as much as we can. And to me, it's a celebration of spirit, it's a celebration of God, and what I feel we should all do as a community.
Although I have to be careful about where I park, because I've got magnets on the side that say Grace Lutheran Church, so I try not to park near the marquee of the parish.
Okay.
So that people don't get confused which place they're entering.
Where they are. Okay. Well, I mean, God is a presence everywhere. I would imagine, that's one of the things that I have been very excited about, and I know many women in the community have been thrilled to see that you've chosen to open up your beautiful shop downtown. I have the address is at 235 Broadway.
Correct.
The Grace, I call it the Grace Boutique, filled with clothing and housewares and things for your pet, all new merchandise, which the Posel family, I understand, has played a very big part in, and Renee Posel is the girl who's working in there. And tell us a little bit about where this idea ever came from.
Well, it originated as an opportunity for us to talk about our faith in a tangible way, of how we can reach out to the community. It's more than just talking about faith. It's about creating faith in a way that people can understand. The opportunities come up for us to be able to secure brand new merchandise,
Yes.
Household goods and clothing, so that we are able to offer that at a very reduced price to members of the community, and especially to those that are in need. So much of that always, if you can't afford it, it always remains just a little bit outside of your reach. This is an opportunity for people to be able to afford some things maybe that they wouldn't be able to.
Beautiful things.
Yeah, they really are. They're
Absolutely beautiful things. I mean, the clothing, the housewares, I mean, some of the gift items that, I've actually had people say to me, where did you get this? And when I tell them, they don't, oh no, you couldn't find that in there. And I say, you almost have to go in every single day because they're constantly bringing in new merchandise.
Right. When I was in Milwaukee, we, as a part of Lutheran Social Services, we ran a distribution center which had brand new clothing from Kohl's, Sears, Land's End. But the significant part of that is there's a difference between used clothing and brand new clothing. If you're not able to afford, and so you have used clothing, wonderful. But on the other hand, nothing like new clothing. The self-esteem, all the things that go with that.
Well,
and we're able to provide that at a low cost, and in some cases, we're able to provide that to people.
Well, many times I have checked the prices on it, and I really thought that it was missing a 1 in front of it or a 2 in front of it. And when I go up to the counter and I say to Renee, how much is this? And she tells me, I'm like, okay, well, that's good. It's almost like it's almost like a secret that you don't want to tell people because you can't even believe that you found something like this, and that what you're making, I'm imagining that the money that you're making there is helping you with your church, with your outreach programs, which I know you have many of as well.
Right, and our benevolence program, what goes on not only inside of Grace Lutheran, for example, for the different work that we did on the exterior of the church and the interior of the church, that was offset by what we were able to do at Grace Sale. But it also goes beyond that. I mean, we want to extend ourselves into the community in how we are able to help. And the store has allowed us the opportunity to be able to do that.
Well, with all of the different, obviously we've a lot of your background is in regards to disaster relief. I was really surprised. I mean, obviously we're from New Jersey, so we're thinking we're the only ones that have ever been affected in such a serious way with events that have happened with our weather and hurricanes and stuff like that. But you told me some stuff that happened out by you. I really think you won as far as that goes. You had tornadoes, floods.
Yeah, when I came back from New York City, I became vice president of Lutheran Social Services, but I was also made the state coordinator for Lutheran disaster response.
Okay.
I didn't know very much about it, so I asked them, well, what do I do? And they said, well, don't worry about it. We don't ever have a disaster in Wisconsin. And I'm not kidding you. I got back, and within just like a month or two, we had one of two 500-year floods in a 9-month period, and that was also included then a tornado in January. The total was about 45,000 FEMA registrations.
Wow.
So we just were inundated, and my life will never be the same because of that.
Now, when that happens, where do you find what you need to? How do you counsel people? How would you counsel someone who's experienced not one flood, but 2 floods, and then a tornado? And tell me about how that happens for you.
I think the first part of it is it makes you appreciative of the things that you do have. Yeah, it's just there were many nights where I would lay awake at night, or I'd wake up knowing that there was someone who didn't have a home, and there wasn't a thing that I could do about it. And that pushed me even harder in terms of the presence piece of that is so important. It isn't always about doing something for someone. It's being there and to care and to show that you care. And I think that was as significant as anything, to be able to provide people with a sense of hope. And especially with water. Water will always find a way, and water, it's a long time in recovery. And so what's happening now in Hurricane Sandy, we're talking about things that will take years to recover from. In our floods of 07 and 08, we were just closing some of the last cases that we were working on in those families from 2007 when I left to come out here.
Wow.
That's a long time.
It is a long time.
So it's more than just getting back to that new normal. I mean, it will never be the same, but to get back to that new normal, it takes longer than you even think that, or you can even imagine.
Now, with your, with your training and your background, and I would imagine things that come along in life even surprise you when they happen, and you realize you have to dig so deep to find the inspiration.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to preach to people under, quote, normal circumstances, and then that just throws it into a whole different orbit.
I can imagine.
Yeah, so real life, chalkboard and real life, way different in so many ways. And, so just like when things happen in your own family, it makes you a lot more appreciative. One example, which is my mom was sick. She fell and she had a cerebral bleed, and we weren't sure if she was going to live or if she was going to die. Now, I've been with families, over almost 34 years. I've been with a lot of families. But when it's
your
your
own
mom,
family, exactly.
And all of a sudden you're screaming to physicians and healthcare, you got to save her. What are you going to do? It's just it's a different world. It's a world of reality, but that's also when the real God shows up too. But Yeah, it's been very interesting. The experiences out of there, the appreciation to the people, when people make donations, when people respond to the tragedy, how important that really is. It's not about, well, somebody else is going to take care of it. It only happens when you do. You know, and I think that that's one of the things I've learned from that.
Well, I know Renee mentioned to me that not only do you have the store is open, it's Monday to Saturday?
Correct.
Okay, Monday to Saturday. Obviously you're off on Sundays, but she did mention to me that when there was a serious fire, I think up in North Bergen,
Correct.
that you all pulled together and brought so many, I believe she said, bedding and housewares and things for the people that lost everything in the fire.
We've tried to be responsive. I mean, that we're able to meet need as it rises in the community or the larger community. And it's been a good beginning. I mean, we're continuing to improve our ability to be able to respond. I mean, just like being a first responder, in some ways we can be that. There are some immediate things that maybe we can provide, or maybe when the dust settles, or in this case, when the fire, when everybody finds out what the need is, we can be more equipped to respond to those needs.
And it's a wonderful thing for people to receive items, but to get something that's brand new, it really has, it kind of gives your heart a fluffier feeling, because it makes you feel, wow, it's not like it's a used item. I have something brand new, and it really does psychologically, I think, make a very big difference. And that's why I see in the store when I'm there, and I see people buying things and trying to haggle a little bit with Renee, but she's very good about that. She says the prices are the prices. And I've noticed that on the wall there is an assortment of statements in different languages.
Yes.
Because I think she probably, if she doesn't understand, she points to one of the signs to say, no, the price is the price.
But I'm liking what you said earlier about those ones in front of the prices. Maybe we should have you as a pricing volunteer for the store.
Well, I would know the value, because I did have my own shop in Bayonne for 30. We had our own store for 30 years.
That.
So I mean, knowing that and seeing, maybe I should not have said anything at all, because there go some of the bargains, I would imagine. But you also now are a member of the Chamber of Commerce.
Correct.
Okay, so kind of a mixed bag. You have a business in town, plus you also have the church. And tell me a little bit about your experience with the chamber. I know you've met a lot of the leaders in Bayonne, business people.
When I was in Delafield, Wisconsin, which is in the lake country of Milwaukee, it's a suburb, we were an active part of the Chamber of Commerce, because we're a community church. As the community goes, so do we in our ministry, but we are a partner in that. It's not about new members, it's not about programming, it's just we want to do the right thing. We're a part of the community, we should be a visible presence in what we do. And it's more than just the clergy or the representative of the church being a part of that. We need to be a part of that. We need to be involved. We need to be committed to the community as well.
Well, to me, it's proven, and I mean, I noticed it more and more, and then we happened to meet through Ken Posel. I think maybe we met one time. I don't remember where the first meeting was, but I also saw you over at the 9/11.
Correct.
The memorial and the service that was held there. Are you impressed by our monument?
Yeah, it's well, when you think about what happened, and to be able to have a lasting monument to that, where were you? Yeah, I think it's just a wonderful presence, and then to be able to observe that too on an annual basis. I was in New York City for the 5th anniversary of 9/11, and we had Lutherans from all over the New York City area came together in observance of that day. So I really do think that it's important for us to be able to remember and recognize that as a significant part of not only our history, but of our remembrance of what people have done for us in our behalf.
That's true. I mean, there was such a different feeling. Each time there has been a tragedy, I mean, you see the very best in people come out, and the only thing that's a disappointment to me is that sometimes it's a little short-lived, because then we go back to living the way we were before, and we forget how everything felt if I knew what heaven, if I know what heaven is, there was such a different feeling of acceptance and nurturing, and no, it didn't matter what color you were, it didn't matter where you came from. Everyone just came together in such a way, and maybe that's part of what a tragedy is supposed to do, is to kind of reignite that little spiritual light that you have in you.
It's like, oh God, if you get me through this, I promise I'll never forget. And then literally in a New York minute, things go back to another kind of normal, and we get on the treadmill and go again.
Did you find the same thing back in Wisconsin?
Without a doubt.
So it's just
Without a
part of
doubt.
human nature, I guess.
Always.
Okay.
Always.
Okay, so people just, or I guess automatically start to feel a little more centered in the new normal, and then they just say, okay, well now I'll just move ahead, forgetting basically what it felt like, to all be together as a community. I mean, tragedies have a way of bringing people together in community.
You'd like to be able to package the good part of it and then leave. You don't want to rehearse this again and again and again
No.
in a morbid kind of way.
Absolutely not.
But you want to learn from those experiences and treasure those things that are important. And I think that's what we try to do. It's just difficult is all.
Well, I mean, it's faith makes things possible, but not easy. And
no, not hardly. But faith gives us all the glue that we need when we're going through those difficult times.
that is true. And faith is also there when things aren't so difficult. I mean, it's just a celebration of what I think, how I know we should be and how we should act towards one another. The fact that I can get a good bargain down at your shop is a good thing, and I hope other people will come down and kind of share. All of the merchandise is new. You don't accept. I know you said that people like to donate. You don't accept.
No, but our partnership, though, that we have with Highways.
Okay, so your affiliation.
Our ability to be able to continue to get things where they need to go in order to be able to benefit other people. We certainly are about that.
Okay, so if a person wanted to donate something, they could do that as well. It's just that it wouldn't show up at the store.
Well, I mean, and that will make sure that it gets where it needs to go to do the most good.
Well, I have to tell you that it's been nothing but a pleasure. And I know that in rethinking the church, Bayonne really is benefiting from someone coming in with such new, fresh ideas. And I really look forward to having more meetings with you and invite the community to come over to your church. And your services are what time?
11 o'clock on Sunday.
11 o'clock on Sunday in a beautiful church. Absolutely beautiful.
But I'm there the other days of the week if you want to just come by and say hi.
And just chat. Well,
I'm always willing to chat.
Well, you know what? It's always nice to have another chatter and a talker here with us. I hope to see you again at the church, maybe over at the boutique. Maybe you'll do some Christmas. Well, no, maybe you'll do some shopping in the near future.
Wonderful. Wonderful. That'd be great. Thank you so much. I appreciate it very much.
You're welcome, and thank you once again for coming.
You bet.